Recently, you posted a survey on your Twitter. What is your position at Triple? I personally have voted for chief choreographer. So my question to you would be, what is the dance that you are choreographing at the moment at Triple?
You know, we have a lot of moving parts and a lot of things going on. I explain it this way. Imagine if you came up with the idea for Twitter or the idea for YouTube 10 years earlier than those businesses, or the idea for Uber. Imagine if you came up with the idea for Uber in the year, 1996. You could not execute that idea directly because your target market doesn't exist. So imagine that you're a marketer at Twitter and I say to you, Kristina, how are we going to get more people to have home internet access? How are we going to get more people to have phones so that they can tweet? You would say to me, that's not our problem. Like our target market are people who can use Twitter. We're Twitter. Our target market is people who can use Twitter. We're trying to build payment networks for a target market of people who are connected to these blockchain systems and these new payment systems, and that target market doesn't exist. So we have sort of a lot of different balls in the air and a lot of, I like the word dance. It is like a dance of trying to not just build the products and services that we want, but also the target market that we want them to, that we want to sell those products and services to. And the interesting thing is, this is paradoxical. We need our competitors to succeed. If you think about Twitter and your phone, like you, probably 90% of the people I'm talking to right now could send a tweet right this second about what I'm talking about if they wanted to. Twitter did not put that capability in their pockets, right? It's companies like Samsung and Google building Android and Apple with the iPhone and the whole growth of the internet. But even earlier companies like GeoCities, let's say, that like made people want internet access, or the early days of the internet, those are competitors to Twitter, but they built Twitter's target market. So the dance that we're in is trying to grow an industry so that there is a group of people who can use the products and services we're building, so that we don't just have to build the products and services, we actually have to build the market for them.
Great ideas. Thank you so much. You've been in the space for over 10 years, right?
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, what actually surprises you the most in the space now? What is that something that maybe you couldn't have imagined when you were studying? Something that you wouldn't expect to come?
You know, there are a lot of surprises. This is, I could probably do a, give like my 10 top most surprising things. I think the one thing that is kind of surprising to me is the sort of hostility to innovation in a lot of the space. And a lot of that comes from people who have invested heavily in a project. So we can't talk about the cryptocurrency space without facing the reality that people, if you think Bitcoin is going to take over the world, you probably own some Bitcoin. If you think Ethereum is going to take over the world, you probably own some Ether. If you think the XRP ledger is the greatest thing in the world and everyone's going to use it for everything, you probably hold some XRP. And what that means is that if someone tells you, hey, Bitcoin has this problem, or Ethereum has this problem, or the XRP ledger has this weakness, if they're right, then you will sort of lose, you will perceive yourself as losing money. And so what happens is people dig in very, very deeply, and nobody is invested in the project that doesn't exist yet. And so there's this sort of hostility and innovation, this idea that, oh, if you want to build, like, I'll pick on Bitcoin. I shouldn't, but I will. But just understand that this is not a specific criticism of Bitcoin. It's a sort of it's an easy to understand example. The Lightning Network doesn't threaten Bitcoin in any way. The Lightning Network is something that enhances Bitcoin's usability. And so if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you like the Lightning Network. It's sort of good innovation. Whereas if Ethereum is improving its scalability, and you could perceive that as a threat to Bitcoin, so you would sort of perceive that as bad innovation. And what's happened is the same thing I joined the cryptocurrency industry to get away from. So one of the things that frustrated me about the movement of money is everybody is like, don't innovate at the lowest layers, build on top of the existing systems. And of course, all of the existing banks and financial institutions want you to build on top of their existing technology because that's what enriches them. And what's happened is the same thing has happened in the cryptocurrency community. People are now saying, no, build on top of Bitcoin because I'm invested in it. Build on top of Ethereum because I'm invested in it. Don't build the new technologies that are better or that threaten the incumbents. They're incumbents. Can you believe it? Like Bitcoin was like a radical movement that was crazy. And now it's like the big, it's the institution that people don't want you to threaten now. It's certainly a perverse and unexpected, although in retrospect, I guess everything should have been expected.